Something really out of bounds is going on inside America's gambling casinos. They're supposedly playgrounds for adults, but now drawn in by games of chance, some of these adults are taking a chance with their own children. Antonio Mora has startling footage of a growing and outrageous trend. As you'll see, when the chips are down, the children have the most to lose.
It looks like every child's fantasy land. Medieval castles side by side with Egyptian pyramids. Battling pirate ships next door to a lava-spewing volcano. And down the street, towering buildings that scrape the sky.
Excitement you've never seen before.
It's the new Las Vegas. What once was a place for adult fantasies only is now sold as the perfect place for baby boomers to bring their kids. And that's exactly what they're doing. With Las Vegas leading the way, millions of children are visiting casino resorts around the U.S. every year. But what happens to the children late at night after the roller coasters and the pools shut down? 2020 decided to investigate. With a home video camera, we headed to some of the country's largest casinos. What we found was shocking. Young kids, many completely on their own in the wee hours of the morning, loitering just off the casino floors, waiting for their parents to quit gambling. In Las Vegas, a tired 14-year-old holding her even more tired 5-year-old brother. At 2 a.m., not even a casino's deafening clamor could keep him awake.
Do you think kids should be out so late at night? I mean, a little boy like this out so late at night?
No. I don't think he should.
You think you should?
No.
In Atlantic City, this baby was so exhausted she couldn't keep her eyes open. And no wonder. It was 1:45 a.m., and instead of being home in her crib, she was falling asleep on the floor, just a few feet from the gambling tables.
Don't you think it's really late? She was falling asleep.
Yeah.
Isn't it too late for the children to be at a casino?
Every parent we confronted reacted the same way, evasively, seemingly embarrassed.
It's neglect, it's wrong, it's dangerous.
Philip Koltoff is the executive director of the Children's Aid Society.
You could be certain that something, at some point, very bad is going to happen to children. Very dangerous.
Something very bad did happen this spring to little Cherise Iverson at a casino just outside Las Vegas. At about 3:45 a.m., casino security cameras show the 7-year-old running into a bathroom with a young man following. There, he allegedly sexually assaulted Cherise and then snapped her head, breaking her neck. At the time of the murder, Cherise's father was gambling.
Lucky 7.
But months later, we still found dozens of parents like him, willing to play the slots, even if it meant playing roulette with their children's safety. Las Vegas has curfew laws that don't allow kids under 18 to be in a public place without their parents after 1 a.m. But we spent 2 nights going from hotel to hotel and found children everywhere, out in the middle of the night, their parents off gambling, while police and casino security did nothing about it. And approaching vulnerable kids who were on their own was frighteningly easy. Take these 3 children. We first noticed them at about 1:30 a.m. in a hotel arcade adjacent to a casino.
Don't you think it's really late at night to be out?
Kinda, I guess, yeah.
And where are your parents?
Casino.
After speaking to the kids and finding they were alone, we notified the arcade's managers. They did nothing, referring us to casino security.
No, but there is a law right now in effect that says that kids cannot be out without their parents after 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's correct. It's been in effect for the last 20-some years, but nobody knows about it.
But there are all sorts of kids in here right now without their parents. The law, as far as I can tell, is being violated right here, right now.
I agree.
Casino security also did nothing, so we waited. At about 3 a.m., an adult finally came for the children. It was their uncle. Their parents were still gambling.
You don't think it's a bad thing for the kids to be up here alone?
No, they're not alone. We're here.
Well, they've been alone. I've been up here for a long time. I spoke to them a while ago.
Yeah. Well, that's how Las Vegas is.
But now that more than 900 casinos have sprung up in more than 24 states, Las Vegas is only part of the problem. Take Atlantic City. These are just a few of the children we found out after midnight at casinos up and down the boardwalk.
It's a shame, and it's happening, and we see it more and more.
Donald Trump says casino operators like him can only do so much.
It's very hard for security people to see what's going on. So if they see a child sitting and there's hundreds of other people around them, you sort of assume that one of those hundreds of people are going to be the parents. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes the parents can be in the casino or they can be someplace else. It's actually quite hard to believe that a parent can do this. But, you know, the responsibility is still with the parent.
Come on, Mr. Casino Owner. Be realistic. Can you imagine if in a legitimate movie theater, some of the ushers or the manager of the theater would see a 2-year-old or a 14-year-old late at night? They would call the police or they would call the child welfare authorities. If it's not good in a public park, if it's not good in a movie house, why should it be okay in a casino?
The gaming industry insists steps are being taken to make certain children are safe. Frank Ferenkopf is the industry's chief Washington lobbyist.
If the parents are not responsible enough, security should go get those kids, find their parents, and say, please take these children, put them in the hotel room, put them to bed, or you know, leave the casino, leave the premises.
But why isn't that happening? We saw an 11-year-old girl falling asleep on the ground less than 10 paces away from a security guard. We saw 2 10-year-old boys who couldn't speak English, barely being able to stand up, walking through a casino, trying to find their parents and not being able to do it. In that case, we went to security and said, look, there are these 2 little boys there. Their response was, you get out of here, and did nothing about going to the children.
They're wrong, if that's the case. I think if it was known by the people who manage the casinos and the hotels, they would do everything in their power to make sure that guard was disciplined if he wasn't doing his job.
If so, casino owners and managers have lots of disciplining to do. The only time we witnessed casino employees get involved was when these young teens forgot about this toddler, leaving him behind in a gift shop at almost 2 in the morning. All the employees did was simply return the little boy to the other kids. They were still on the casino steps, waiting for their parents at 2:30. Some casinos are trying to address the problem of neglected children by hiring a company called Kids Quest to open daycare centers. Connecticut's Mohegan Sun Casino is one of them. Mitchell Ettis is a vice president there.
We want to give the opportunity for parents to visit here and have a safe, secure place to put their kids.
You listen to the monitors.
Kids Quest operates 2 centers here. One for kids under 12 is tightly supervised.
There you go, you slammed it in.
And provides everything from meals to video games to karaoke. The other, for older kids, is an arcade that's only loosely supervised. All the parents we spoke to seemed to think it was no big deal to bring their children to a casino and drop them off here until all hours.
Our daughter's here almost every night, and we're pretty confident that when she's here, she's going to be in good hands. She asks us to come back.
But these are daycare centers that are open well into the night. And gamblers often even take this to the limit. This 8-week-old wasn't picked up until after midnight. The same day, a 7-year-old was left here for 12 hours. And at the 1 a.m. closing time, about a dozen young and sleepy kids were still here. And Kids Quest employees readily admit that sometimes parents don't even bother to show up at closing time, forcing casino security to go find them so they'll retrieve their children.
When we're dealing with children, we shouldn't be dealing in the lesser of 2 evils theory. Why have them in a casino? It's not a wholesome place. It's not a place of learning. It's not a place for healthy development.
Now, even Las Vegas is beginning to back off its kids-friendly image.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
A new ordinance passed by the local county commission that goes into effect tomorrow calls for more security personnel at arcades and tougher enforcement of curfews. Yvonne Gates chairs Clark County's commission.
We're going to do whatever we can to provide that extra security blanket to protect these kids, because they're the ones who are vulnerable oftentimes, and they're the ones who get hurt oftentimes.
But given that today's laws on children aren't enforced, there's no guarantee the new ones will be. And child welfare experts worry we will continue to see images like these.
So what are we doing? What are we exposing our children to? Is this what we've come to, that we find this acceptable? I think not. And I think most Americans who are watching this would think not.
This is dreadful. Antonio, welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
How extensive is this problem?
Well, it seems to be happening all over the country, and it's not only kids being left on the sidelines inside the casinos. Parents are leaving the kids in cars outside. Just 2 weeks ago, a 10-day-old baby died in Georgia of dehydration because a parent left the child in the car for 7 hours. It's happened in Louisiana to a 2-year-old earlier this year. Another child suffered from hypothermia in Connecticut. So it's happening all over the country.
Unbelievable. Now, it seems to me they're trying to promote these places as family places. Something clashes here.
They're beginning to back off that, and Las Vegas actually is coming up with a new resort that is not going to allow kids at all. So there may be some hope.
Thank you, Antonio.